In the last video, we went over a bit of repair shop customer service. Using the game, Who's the Dick, we try to figure out who is more to blame and if the person blaming us really deserves to be angry. It's not about whether somebody is angry at you. It's about the proportion of how angry they are at you over how much they deserve to be angry at you. And it helps keep us honest. I think that this kind of game helps keep us from just thinking everybody who complains is a dick. Because it's easy when you're dealing with 600 to 900 phone calls a day and 30 tickets a day to just think everybody who complains at you is just being a dick. Because you have all this stress piled up from all this work that you have. You need to figure out how to keep a clear head, a level head, and to remain objective and pragmatic. Now, there's another aspect that I'd like to discuss today, which is another thing that plagues this field. That is wishful thinking and selective hearing. Wishful thinking is when I say, this is what we're doing, and they go, okay, that's what you're doing, but this is what I want. And they just keep wishing and hoping that something is true. And if they keep wishing and hoping that it's true, then it'll become true. If they just keep saying, I'm not going to pay sales tax, I'm not going to pay sales tax, and they just think that at the end, regardless of what I said, they're just not going to have to pay sales tax. And the next is selective hearing, which is, I say, this will be done in 3 to 6 hours. I will call you when it is done. If I have not called you, that means it has not been completed. And they hear, this will be done in 3 hours, guaranteed. That's selective hearing. These are qualities that plague our field. Now, if you look at the reviews that a lot of repair shops have, you'll see that for all the good ones, the bad ones that people get are almost always related to communication. And almost every shop that has a lot of business has at least one review crapping on their communication. Now, you may think to yourself, maybe we all just suck at talking to people. I don't think that that's true, even the nerdy ones. The problem, more likely, is that there is a universal issue that spans all different types of people, meaning whether it's a nice, kind group of customers or just angry little self-entitled pricks. And I believe that everybody, when under duress, is affected by wishful thinking and selective hearing. And in the beginning, you may just think that somebody's being an asshole when you experience this, that they're just a retard, that they're just annoying you, just for the sake of being annoying. But as you gain more experience in this business, or in any birdies, as you gain experience in this field, you'll notice that this is not something that is specific to one person, or even one type of person. Rather, it's specific to a circumstance. A, I'm really stressed out because I need this in this time frame. Or B, I'm financially stressed out because I need this but I can't afford it. When somebody can't afford what it is you're offering them, or they can't afford to wait to have it done properly, you'll notice wishful thinking and selective hearing coming into play. And it's natural. It's very hard to stay objective when you're under stress. These were gotcha moments where I realized, wow, this really does exist. One of them was with somebody who came in for a basic service. We told them this is going to be $100 and it will take anywhere from 3 hours to 1 day to complete based on how busy we are. I will call you when this is complete. If we have not called you, it is not done. An hour and a half after he dropped it off, he called to ask if it was done. And now the technician is he's a nice guy, but he's not exactly as coddling when it comes to explaining things to difficult customers. He says, we have not called you, therefore it is not done. This will be done in a couple of hours. Worst case scenario, it will be done by the end of the day. But if I have not called you, just assume that it is not done. 1 hour later, again, we're not even into the 3 hour minimum part yet. We're still at 2 hours. He walks in the store and goes, why, is this done? And the receptionist goes, no, they're still working on it. And he goes, why is it not done? And the receptionist goes to the back office to ask the technician about it. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? I just spoke to this guy over the phone and specifically told him that this is not going to be done for at least a few more hours and that if I have not called him, it is not done. And in that moment, he realized what wishful thinking and selective hearing are. And I'll give you my moment. A few weeks ago, somebody brought in a machine very similar to this one, and it was just ravaged and destroyed. and he needed it done within a specific price range that was a joke for the problems that he had. So I told him, I can fix this for $200 plus tax if one thing will be true. I will not hear from you for 5 weeks. If you can agree that I will not have a status call for 5 weeks, that you will wait for the 5-week time frame for me to call you and say it's done, I'll do it for $200 plus tax. And we shook hands on it. And I knew that he knew this was a fair deal because he had been to several other places who had said it's $400 if we can do it. And they had given him the same time frame. So I get to work, and 2 weeks in, we have a phone call from him, wondering why it's not done, saying you need the thing back ASAP. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I need this thing back immediately. Like, I was told X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z wound up being something totally different from what I told him. 3 weeks in, he walks in and goes, I'm here to pick up my machine. I had received a call that it was done. And I'm a little dumbfounded here because I recognize you. Your computer is still in 10 pieces. I remember specifically explaining to you that your machine would be in 10 pieces for 5 weeks. And he decides to say, no, you definitely called me. This is just weird. And I go on to say, sir, nobody here called you to say this was done. And the reason, I remember the conversation I had with you. I had this conversation with you saying that this would not be done for 1 month and 1 week, and shook hands with you on this decreased price, specifically so that we wouldn't have this awkward moment right now. And he says, you're being rude. You're being rude. That's not what we agreed to. And then I said, okay, so what did we agree to? This is, by the way, very wrong. You should never tell a customer to recite what you said because they're always going to recite a different version of what you said. It's like those, you never read those World War I books, where you read the World War I book that was published in France, then you read the one that was written in Germany, then you read the one from Russia, and you read the American version. And it's very funny how the version that came out in that country always paints a better picture of that country than the actual truth. And the same thing is true here. Anyway, so I asked him to explain what I said. It was not even remotely what I said. Now, if you work at a business where you have multiple employees, let's say somebody says, well, the other guy who sits here said it would be $50 in a day. You can always think to yourself, well, maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. There's always doubt in your mind. Regardless of how fucking ridiculous it is, there's always doubt in your mind. But when you're talking to the person who's telling you what you said, now there's no doubt. Because I know what I said. I remember this conversation vividly. So now you're telling me that I said something totally different. And you know what? He wasn't lying. I could tell the difference between somebody who is lying and somebody who actually believes their lie. He's not lying because he believed it to be true. It's like that Seinfeld episode where George Costanza said, it's not a lie if you believe it to be true. He believed everything he was telling me. And this scared me because he honestly believed everything that he was saying. And I just stared at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I did not say a single thing that you're telling me I said. And it was at that moment that I was inspired to make this video because this is no longer just repair shop humor. This is a serious problem. And it's not just a thing that happens every now and then. It's something that really deserves to be discussed. I don't have any particular strategies for dealing with this. I have a couple of guidelines. A couple of my guidelines are don't guarantee time of day. We will finish this in this amount of days, but we don't guarantee time of day unless this is something literally as simple as an iPhone repair. A good example of this was somebody who brought a laptop in, needing it done within 1 business day. And we told them it would take about 2 days for this part to come in. And it would be done the day that the part comes in. Now, what he took that to mean was that we said the part would be in on Tuesday. We open at 10 on Tuesday, which means that this will be done at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Now, here's why logic makes that impossible. Now, if somebody was using their wishful thinking brain, the part's coming in on Tuesday. They open at 10 on Tuesday. Let me just walk in at 10 on Tuesday. It'll be done, right? Now, the logical part of the brain would go, they open at 10 on Tuesday. So they're probably going to need more than 0 minutes to fix it, which rules out 10 a.m. And if the part is coming in on Tuesday, that probably means that that's coming in anywhere from their opening time to their closing time on Tuesday. Because again, I don't expect customers to get this deep into the logic of it, but UPS, FedEx, DHL, and the post office, they're not all lined up at each individual business exactly as they open. Because there's one postman that covers, the zip code. And that one postman cannot be at every single business at their opening time exactly as they open, especially when most businesses open at 8, 9, or 10. But the main funny part was him actually thinking that we're going to do this job on Tuesday, meaning it's going to be done at open. Meaning that the technician is telekinetic. He walked in, he picked up the part and went, zhing, 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 just took every part out of the laptop, every screw out of the laptop, installed that part, closed it all back up, just by staring at it, just with his mega vision. That's not how life works. And you need to make sure when you're explaining things to people that you're explaining them so that wishful thinking and selective hearing are taken into account. Make sure that the worst news and the worst case scenario come out in the beginning. Don't make my mistakes. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know what to tell people, but I still slip on occasion and say, this will be done in 3 to 10 hours. That's the worst thing to say, because what the person on the other end is hearing is, this will be done in 3 hours guaranteed or my money back. Put the worst news in the beginning. Say, this will be done in a day. Now, if we're lucky and we have a good day, there is a chance it will be done in 3 hours, but most likely this will be done in a day. Make sure that what they hear, what their little selective hearing brain hears, is the worst case scenario. I'd also like to know what your strategies are for dealing with selective hearing and wishful thinking, and what your experiences have been in your shop dealing with these. Because again, if we don't manage selective hearing and wishful thinking properly, it will always end poorly. It will always end in a bad review. It will always end in Lewis losing a little black plastic piece and having it fall because he's paying more attention to his fucking video than fixing a laptop. See ya.